So this is Laura Gideon. She is the Human Resource, Administrator and Director at Laclede Electric here in town, in Lebanon, Missouri. And so we're going to ask her a few questions about jobs that are available with Laclede Electric or any co-op. And so I thought we'd start, just like a lot of these, with just kind of explaining a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Laura, and I am the Human Resources Director here at the co-op. And I've been here for just over 9 years. The last 7 of those 9, I've been in the field that I'm doing now, doing payroll and benefits administration. So that's a little bit about my background here. Prior to that, I'm actually not from Lebanon originally. I'm from kind of close by, a little small town. I'm a small town girl, but I found the love of my life, moved here, and we got married in 2007, and we have 2 small little girls, and we just really like the area. My husband's from here, so that's why we're still here, and of course we love our job, so what more do you want?
Yeah.
What more could you
That's
want?
living the life right there,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
So what kind of made you decide to make the change to become Human Resource Director?
That is a good question, because honestly, I did not go to school for human resources. I went to college and I have a 4-year degree in just general business. I tend to like a lot of different things. I like to know a little bit about a lot. So I have an eclectic taste in many different aspects of business, and so I thought that would cover everything. Back in college, I do remember taking a human resource management class, and I did really enjoy that. Still did not think that would be the way I would go in life, but I mentioned before that I've been in payroll and benefits since, 7 years ago. So a little bit of that kind of put me on that track. It showed me, what the scope of HR would be, what it would look like, especially because I was serving directly under the HR director at that time. So that put a big interest into my heart, knowing that, okay, now this can actually be more broad. So it felt like a good fit. I have certain skills that I think are good strengths for the position, so it was a really good fit. It's just something that I enjoyed doing before and wanted to grow and expand in that.
So the business degree got you into the benefits and timekeeping, and then working underneath HR.
In some sense. I started here actually as an office assistant when I first started here, and then just through kind of natural attrition, I moved my way through different various positions, and then ended up in the payroll and benefits side of things, and then eventually into this position.
So kind of off of our questions here, whenever you graduated college, did you say, you know what, I want to go work at Laclede Electric, or did you have several places that maybe you applied at and just kind of landed at the co-op?
Yeah, so before here, I actually didn't know what a co-op was, what an electric utility co-op was. I lived in a small town and was served by a co-op, and still at that time had no idea what that meant. So moving into this area, I had heard that this was like the best place to work. You definitely want to work there. Still, it didn't really click for me. I really thought a desk job was in it for me. I looked for any type of office position and applied for those, and found a position somewhere prior to here and stayed there for about 2.5 years. Then a position did come open for an office assistant, and I thought, well, that's really kind of what I'm looking to do. That gets my foot in the door. Did my research prior to the interview, of course, and that was when I was like, okay, I think this is something. There's something to this.
So as an office assistant, it's not like you graduated high school and you were up there. Office assistant is getting your foot in the door, so you had to start.
Sometimes that's how it has to start. It is for sure that way, especially if you have no experience under your belt at all with any type of office work. I did have some experience, which I think is probably what helped me get in here. I worked for a family member and just before this too, and had a little bit of exposure to payroll even in that environment too, but did a lot of just general administrative type duties. So I think having a little bit of experience also helped me to get my foot in the door here too.
Mm-hmm. To like target to become a human resource person, what kind of training or certification do you think I would need in order to get to that goal?
Well, I would say at the very least, you would want some sort of business experience. You would want the experience and or a degree, whether it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree in business, general business, business law, business analysis, finance, accounting. And I say that because in human resources, you actually hit in a lot of different areas. You're involved in every aspect of a company because it's human. That's why it's called human resources. You're going to deal with people and you're going to deal with every part of that business. So having some background in any of those areas is really going to help you with that. And then of course on-the-job experience. So if you can gain any type of experience by being in payroll and or benefits, or even if you're just helping with recruiting, if you can break all of those different job duties down into little niches of that market and gain experience in that way. I would say though, for me personally, what really helped was that I went and obtained a certification. I'm a certified HR professional, and I maintain that certification. And what that entails is you train quite a bit. There's a lot of studying involved. Like an exceptional amount of studying. And I did mine on my own. So I did a self-guided study. So that was a little bit more difficult than doing group study or finding a HR group to study with to prepare. And what you're preparing for is a test. So the test is 3 hours long, and it is very intense. It's a very intense setting, an intense questions, I should say. You kind of go into it thinking you're ready, and then it's a little bit stressful. However, it turned out in my favor. I passed, and I was like so relieved. I think I even cried a little, but I was so relieved because it's meant to be challenging, so that you can kind of come to this realization that yeah, you can do this, so that for me was probably the way into the position that I'm doing now, plus the experience I had under my belt.
Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite part of being in HR?
Yeah, when you sent me that question to review ahead of time, I was like, oh, that's a tricky one. Mm-hmm. I don't really have one favorite thing, so I'll just tell you a few things that are my favorites. I'm a little biased toward the benefits side of things because I directly and closely worked with the HR director before, so I helped her and assisted her with all of our benefits, the employee benefits, which is, group benefits, medical, dental, all of that, enrolling in those, and our retirement benefits, which are excellent. And it's just fun to really delve deeper into how great they are, how do they work, why are they this way, and whatnot. So I'm kind of a why person, like tell me how to do something, but I need to know why. So that was really intriguing getting into that. So benefits are a big passion of mine. Other things though, I would say is collaborating with colleagues. Like I said earlier, you kind of have to be a part of the entire co-op at the same time. So I like getting to have and build relationships with other managers and other supervisors and employees in general. I do have to meet one-on-one with employees at times to go over benefits, to show them things, to explain things to them and what's changing and what's coming and how it affects them and stuff like that. So getting to build and create relationships with individuals are a big passion of mine as well. And then recruiting, that's fun. Recruiting and placing individuals. So getting to bring someone new in, a new face, to also show them how wonderful we are and how wonderful a co-op is. And then helping others advance in the co-op is fun too. That is something quite a sight, when someone's been doing the same thing for a while and then they get to do something new and exciting and learning, that's pretty fun. It makes them eager, it makes the morale eager, or morale is heightened. It's just really fun. So, I would say there's a lot of things, but it's mostly connecting back to people. It always leads back to a person.
Mm-hmm. which would be important in human resources,
Right,
because
absolutely.
that's who you're working with.
Right.
I know students that I work with, they know that in the past, we would do job shadows and tours and things like that, so I've been in many, many businesses in South Central Missouri, and I've come to realize that co-ops in general seem to have really good benefits when compared to other businesses in their community. I remember your supervisor, I met her, and she had said that it's the best kept secret in our community is right here. And so, I feel like we kind of get into the weeds a little bit with talking about some of the benefits that come along with the co-op, but it's really worth, if a student was interested in working at a co-op, to contact their HR person and talk a little bit about the benefits so that they can understand beyond how much a person is being paid an hour or a salary, that those benefits are on top of that income, and how those kind of figure into the equation, or they should, right? So what are some positions that would be available at Laclede Electric or any co-op?
Well, there's going to be a lot, so I'll list them for you, because I did list them for myself so I wouldn't miss out on any, because they're all equally important.
Right.
Everybody works as a team here.
I asked this question because a lot of students, they think of,
Uh-huh.
when they think of co-ops, they think of the white
Right.
or the red trucks,
Right.
and they think of alignment.
Absolutely.
But in reality, there are lots of positions
Yeah.
in a co-op.
There are a lot of hidden figures in a co-op, basically. So, probably, a third of our workforce is our linemen. And then the rest is all, administrative, or not all, I should say, but I'll mention which positions that we do have here. We do everything in-house, mostly everything in-house. And when I say in-house, I mean that we don't have somebody else processing our payroll. And we don't have an accounting firm or department that is processing our accounting on a daily basis. So we have a pretty broad internal structure here. So we have many departments. I would like to say C-suite. That's not really an accurate term here because we don't have a chief of everything here, but it's basically structured like a C-suite, which would be like information systems and accounting, and we have a CEO and whatnot. So the positions, though, that we have, other than just linemen and executive type positions, we have a communications department. So we have in that department, it also kind of entails the member services. So it's our customer service. That is what the members who they see face to face, obviously not right now, they don't because of COVID and we're still closed to the public, but we do everything by phone right now. So that's the first point of contact, is our customer service area. When they call in or when they come through the drive-through, it's cashiering, it's taking payments, and speaking with individuals about their payments, and getting connected and getting disconnected, and if they need to move away and whatnot. So we have that area, and it's kind of a big part of what we do around here too. And then we have, let's see, I'm working my way down my hallways in my mind here. So we have our IT department, and I say IT, but it's actually consisted of information systems and information technology and networking. So we kind of have a little bit of branch in that department as well, and that just depends on which part of the co-op you're going to be working in, whether it's with our software, or whether it's with the hardware, the computers, and setting the printers and computers up and whatnot, or actually doing the server work. So it just kind of depends on those. And then we have someone in our engineering department that also works with networking. Then we have our human resources department, which is also encompassing with the payroll. So we have payroll, and that's in that as well. So we process the payroll for all of our employees in-house. And then we also have an accounting department, like I mentioned earlier, and there's 3 individuals technically in that department. So it's a little bit of a crossover from inventory type stuff and paying checks and bills to individuals or vendors or whatnot, taking in payments. We have the cashiers who take in the payments, but sometimes we have aid to construction when you're building a house and you're setting up new lines. So we have an accountant that actually creates the bills for that. Then we also have someone who analyzes our financials too. So we have someone who checks the bank statements and whatnot. So there's a lot of different branches, even in each department, as you can see. Then we also have internal operations. So our external operations are the linemen, which is probably what you see most of whenever you're out and about. But we have internal operations. So we have a dispatching department as well. So if there's an outage overnight, we have a dispatcher that's manning the station 24 hours to make sure that they're reporting an outage and calling in a crew to restore the outage. So we've got that going on at all times, and then we also have assistants in that department as well. So they're like an office assistant, and they deal with a variety of things too, and they deal closely with the linemen and with the member services department. So it's all like a web that weaves and connects. And then we also have our engineering department. I mentioned that earlier too, and that consists of electrical engineering, civil engineering, right-of-way specialists for easements and tree clearing. We have engineering technicians. I think maybe Dennis mentioned earlier about meter technicians. That's kind of what they do, the engineering techs. We also have stakers who stake out new services and are following old services and whatnot. And we have assistants in that department. So there's a variety of office assistant positions internally, but in different areas, different departments, because it's necessary. And then another part of our operations, we also have our warehouse, building and warehouse maintenance crew, and then we have mechanics who work on our trucks and all of the vehicles and help maintain all of the vehicles for the co-op. Let's see if I've forgotten anybody. And then we have, general administrative type positions as well. Let's see. I think I've pretty much hit on any. If I haven't, I'm sure it was encompassed in somewhere in there, but I'm thinking I've got most of everybody. So, like I said, broad range of internal structure. So
if we are in a community where a co-op is located, like West Plains or like Enid here, you could be straight out of high school and there are positions that are available. You could go to a 2-year school, there are positions available, or you could go to a 4-year school and there are positions. So it's all kinds of different, a variety, like you said, of positions that somebody entering the workforce could be suited for.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody, if they were interested in working for a co-op, how would they apply for a position?
Yeah, so I'd like to speak for all co-ops, but I'm not entirely sure if this is the exact way that they would also show their listings. But through the Missouri Career Center is that's where I would tell anybody to go look for a position or a posting. Also, cooperative.com is a really good one. That one actually does have specifically co-op positions posted. We utilize that resource as well, but we also utilize our own website. So if you're looking at any particular co-op, go directly to their website. You can find information usually on a careers tab of some sort on their website. We have a tab just like that. We're about to redo our website, I think, though, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what that will look like in the future, but we have a tab right now, and we have an active listing at this moment too, so anybody that's seeing this, maybe hopefully in the quick future, might be able to go out there and see that still showing. So you just follow the instructions on the listing and, at the very minimum, fill out an application and turn that in, however that co-op would be requesting that to be submitted. I do always recommend that you consider filling out a resume, getting that completed, and maybe even a cover letter. Those are helpful for positions, but they're not required. At the minimum, an application, at least for Laclede Electric.
All right. Considering we talked about some of the jobs that are available in a co-op. This is one of those questions that sometimes is hard to answer, but it's always a question that students or somebody applying for a job would want an answer to or should ask. What would be a range of income for some of the different positions here? And we could even categorize them to those that don't require a degree to those that require a 2-year degree or 4-year degree. However you would like to break them down.
So You were right. That is a very difficult question to answer, mainly because we have a really broad range of positions here. We're industry specific too, so you don't have to know about utilities. I mentioned that earlier, that I had no idea what a co-op was or did before. You don't have to necessarily know or have an experience with that coming into it, but being able to share those wages is just very difficult because of the type of industry we're in. It's a different market here in our area. Not to mention that we typically don't share our wage data, so there's that. I can tell you though that in this area, Laclede Electric is a premier employer. They are, like you said, the best kept secret. It's not really a secret, but we really do have wonderful benefits, competitive pay. It's something that if you know somebody that works here or you've heard of us, you just know that's where you want to be typically. You know, we pride ourselves on that. Another thing we pride ourselves on is our membership too. There's ways that we give back to the members, so we really highly pride ourselves on that, and that's where people will start to notice the co-op in a different way. So,
well, thank you. I have heard that there are different ways to get into, say, linemen, and some students who are watching this may have watched Dennis talk about being a lineman and that he went to a 2-year school. Are there, besides the benefit of maybe being a better applicant, having that experience going to, say, a 2-year associate's college or one of the other schools that maybe they're not an associate's but they're a lineman school, does that give you some time toward the, was it 4 years, I believe he said, of...
Toward your apprenticeship?
Yeah, toward your apprenticeship. Okay. Do they help work toward your apprenticeship?
It can help. We definitely reevaluate everybody's experience that they have and the schooling that they might have underneath them. It kind of depends, especially if somebody's coming from another co-op. That's a whole different ballgame. We have to look and see, well, how do they do their apprenticeship programs as well. Typically, though, what we look at is your schooling, your experience, and where that might put you. And we have our own in-house training. So our curriculum is based off of the same curriculum that the Northwest Lineman Training Center goes off of, and it's the Power Delivery Program Training. And that is a 4-year program. So we follow that on an annual basis, and typically if somebody doesn't have any of that schooling or that training under them, the curriculum portion of it, or even the on-the-job training, because we offer the on-the-job training as well in addition to that, then typically they would start probably at the bottom, which would be either a laborer without any experience or a first-year apprentice. There's really only a 6-month difference between the two. It's just to kind of get your feet wet, to understand what a co-op does and kind of learn what there is to do, and then you start your apprenticeship as a first year, just 6 months in.
So what advice would you give to somebody who is interested in applying for a position? We've talked about, the job websites, Missouri.jobs or jobs.missouri, and also the co-op's website, but what advice would you give to somebody, maybe even in kind of the scope of an interview?
Well, my first thing would probably be to really research who you're applying with. If it's specifically a co-op, research the co-op, know what they're about, what they're doing for the community, and how they're structured. That's going to be a big thing, and who you're applying to. So you're applying for the co-op, but who's your contact person? If you can't find that, it's always best to call and ask questions. I'm not going to ever turn any phone call away if somebody's got questions, and if they want to spend a half an hour on the phone with me finding out all the information, that's wonderful. I'm all about helping others outside of the community too. That's another part of human resources as well. We're not just internal relationship builders, we're also external. So do your research, and I would say be persistent. If that's your dream place to work, be persistent, not in a really annoying way, I should say, but just really be persistent. Try to build a relationship with the people that work there, even if it's just your friends work there or someone that works there. Try to get your foot in the door that way. That doesn't guarantee a job ever, but it's always good to learn more about the co-op in those ways when you know somebody that's already working there and you've built that relationship ahead of time. Some other things would be like plan ahead. You know, if you've been called to come in for an interview, plan ahead. Plan what you want to say, what you want the co-op to know, because you want that first point of contact whenever you're sitting with that person and sharing all of the details about you and why you deserve the job. Make sure you're prepared. Plan ahead and be prepared. And then provide as much information about your qualifications and your skill set, like that you possibly can. Share that, share anything that would be relevant to the position that you are applying for. If it's exactly relevant, you're gonna have no problem. But if you're not real sure that you have all of the right things for that job, really dig deep and look at every little detail that you've ever done in your entire life, whether it's summer jobs and all of that. You can always find something that is relatable. Just make it relatable. And then be confident. If you're calling and asking questions, be confident the way you're asking your questions. Don't let the nerves get the best of you. I know that's easier said than done, but confidence is a really big thing. If you can see a confident individual, you really kind of understand how that individual is going to be as an employee. So let's see, did I miss anything? Following instructions is a really big one too. So if you do see a job listing, just make sure you're reading everything very carefully and doing exactly what they ask. That just following instructions is going to be one of the simple things that you don't realize is going to make a big deal. So, and then work on your people skills. That's a big one. You have to showcase yourself and kind of brag on yourself to get a position. So if you can do that and work with sit across the table from somebody to really showcase who you are and why you want to be here and why you deserve it, that's going to be a really big deal too. So working on your social skills.
So to understand, you mentioned doing your research, understanding the job. So there's a job description that's probably available for that position that they'd be interested in. So you would suggest read every word that's on that job description so you really know what and you can develop questions from that
for sure.
Job description. So confidence, persistence, people skills. Those are just some of those soft skills that you had mentioned. And those would be really critical to whether you're external or internal.
Sure.
Because I'm sure the cashiers have to have people skills because they're going to be face-to-face with people on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything that maybe I've missed that you wanted to talk about or mention to the students while we still have them here?
Well, I didn't really consider that. I haven't really thought of anything additional other than the questions we've already gone over, but I would just be encouraging to any student that is nearing like their beginning of their career, and that can even start as early as age 16. When you get your driver's license, there's some expense that comes to that. So just having that work ethic mentality that, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for me, I'm going to build my life starting now, even if it's the smallest, in the very smallest way. That is something that I think will come with a little bit naturally, but it'll come with time, and then eventually when you're ready to pursue your favorite career, what you're wanting to do for the rest of your life, you'll have enough experience doing a job or applying or interviewing, because it's not a bad thing if you've interviewed a bunch of times and didn't get those jobs. That's experience. So staying that course and starting early is a really good idea.
I'll add, I mentioned before all the different businesses that I've been in, whether they're factories or vet's offices or retail or whatever. I like to kind of get a feel for the business by what I see the employees doing, So if I go into a factory and the employees seem to be really angry or upset or they're all tired or something like that, I kind of get a bad feel, like maybe people aren't very happy here. whenever I come into Laclede Electric, I don't get that feeling.
Right.
You know, I get there's a lot of people that seem to be upbeat and happy and excited. So I take that into account whenever I go into businesses, that really means something to me, because I don't want to go to a job where it feels like you're in prison all day,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I'd rather go to a business where everybody's pretty happy, you know,
Right.
because that's going to make your day a lot better
Mhm.
if people are happy to be at work.
Right,
So,
right.
and that's a feeling that I get here. So, well, if there's nothing else, I think we'll just wrap it up and say that we really appreciate your time. I know it's time away from your work day to come and talk to students. Really appreciate your time.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.